Hi my friends, thank you so much for being here. In this video, I'm going to cover what I think should be a pretty hot topic in makeup these days, and it's all the drugstore makeup that is going above $10. And I just want to share some clear-cut reviews on what I think is worth it and what's not. And as I join you here with a bare face, some of this stuff is going to get applied. I'm going to be applying the ones that I think are worth it, and as I do that, I'm going to be chatting about the ones that I think are not as well. And here's the thing, I'm going to go by Walmart prices, which are across the board some of the lowest. Like some of these same products could sell for even more on Ulta's website. So what I'm saying there is if you hear some of these over $10 costs and you're thinking, wow, that sounds high, it may still be a couple bucks more on Ulta. So it's kind of crazy, and it's just not the same drugstore world I grew up in. Now, some brands are keeping it very fair. There are some brands you're not going to even hear about in this video, but there are a lot that are hovering around that $10 mark, if not going well beyond it. So getting started talking about something that I do think is worth it. I think it's a special product. It won an Emily Award, and I'm going to be chatting about that first. This is $13.97. This is from Milani, and it's called the Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer. And I do feel like this is one of the few things that is really effective at helping the staying power of makeup, especially where oil is concerned around my T-zone. You just pick up a little bit with that spatula. But as a whole, like in the wintertime, I will be pretty normal to dry, sometimes quite dry, but I still feel like I can get oily around my nose and sometimes on my forehead. And I feel like this effectively keeps that problem at bay. As you smooth it on, you do feel that real, like kind of melting down smoothness where it started like kind of a firm balm that you're literally gonna scrape out of there, like get your little ice cream scoop of it. Yes, it feels that way immediately, but I love sort of the change in texture as it works in with your skin, and I think it just does a very good job. It may not be the type of primer that everyone feels like they need, but it's something that's not gonna over dry me, but help control an oilier situation in some areas. So that's a pretty valuable one for me. So I would say $13.97, fine Milani. If you must, I will pay that price for this. I give it a thumbs up. Here's another one coming in at over $13 and change. It's the L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum, and I wear this in light 2-3. I have put in my own pump, so maybe that's an additional, I don't know, couple dollar cost from Amazon, but I feel this is worth it. This foundation does so many things right. I'm a huge fan. I love the natural finish. I enjoy how it stays really, really well. Lightweight feel, not too dewy. I've paired it with glowy primers and kind of upped my dewiness factor, but today you'll be seeing it on top of a very not glowy primer. This is an extremely well-rounded foundation for me. As you see it blend in here, you're gonna see that nice, like strong medium coverage coming out of it, which no doubt is surprising to some who aren't familiar with this product and you hear the name as hyaluronic tinted serum. You gotta wonder about some of these tints and skin tints because some of them are really, really foundation-like. But you just gotta think, like, is this a product that's checking a lot of boxes for me? And I know some of this is gonna be personal opinion in this video. There's gonna be some people who are like, well, that totally didn't agree with my skin type, and so it's not worth it for me. But for me, when I'm wanting ease of blending, I want that nicely evened out coverage. I want really good staying power. I appreciate that natural look on the surface of my skin that's not too dewy, but it's not too matte either. And that's just one pump, maybe even a little shy of one pump. Absolutely love this stuff. Thumbs up, worth it. Something I did not think was worth it was this NYX Buttermelt Glaze. This is coming in at $15.97 at Walmart. Now it does have sunscreen in it. It's going to give you an SPF 30. It calls itself Soft Glow Skin Tint. For me, it's just like not doing enough. It's definitely light and thin on the skin, but I have to compare this in my mind to like a Wet n Wild Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator and think that's giving me more than this product, and that one's coming in well under $10, you know? You can let me know if you feel there's something really unique about this product that I'm missing, but I just feel like not enough on coverage, not enough on staying power, and there are other things on the market that can easily do what this does. Now, granted, there's no SPF in the Wet n Wild, but I'm still applying a daily SPF under my makeup, just, you know, every single day, so it's not a mandatory thing in my skin tint. So for me, sorry to say, NYX, that one's gotta be a thumbs down. On the other hand, I do have a thumbs up concealer from NYX, and I think this is a very advanced form formula. I think this is the type of concealer a lot of people want. This is the Bare With Me Concealer Serum, coming in currently at $10.77 at Walmart, and it's a thumbs up for me. This manages to be very thin and very good coverage. I'm not even gonna pump out a full pump of this, okay? A full pump would be way more than my face needs, but a fraction of a pump, you're gonna get a bead of product. Watch how that little bead is going to truly spread and cover some surface area here. I'm hitting the under eyes out here. I'm gonna get around my nose with it. It is perhaps one of the most spreadable concealers, and as it spreads, it's not losing its coverage ability. And it's giving that lightweight, not over dried. It does give, you know, a little hydration to the skin, but the real great thing, let's say you've prepped your skin. You should be prepping your under eye with something. I use Vanny cream every day, a little bit on the under eye area. I don't need all my concealers to give me tons of moisture, but you know what really will help just the overall look is if that concealer can be kind of lightweight. And this was one fraction of a pump, okay? Like half a pump maybe, and look at how well that is going all over my skin. I'm just using my little Morphe brush. Look at the huge amount of surface area that that covered on the under eye. I'm gonna get the chin. We can come in and further stamp it in with the brush that we used for our foundation. But another thing too is that concealer agrees with so many foundations that you pair it with too, because no added weight really. Get it all blended in and then look up on that under eye and you're thinking, well, that doesn't look makeup-y at all, but it does look covered. Is it covering as well as E.L.F. Camo Concealer? Maybe a little shy of that, but it's still doing an excellent job. And if you feel like calling me out and saying, well, Em, you like a lot of those fuller coverage concealers, so why wouldn't this one top those? Why wasn't this one an Emily Award winner? I do enjoy taking coverage to the max, but when I'm using one of those, I just use a very, very small amount, okay? Concealer in small amounts is key for everyone, I think. Many of these concealers are doing so much, we don't need to be swiping over large surface areas and then complaining hours later that your concealer looks heavy. You must apply a small amount. Even this one with a small amount is doing an excellent job, so just consider the amount you're putting on your skin. But I love it. I think it's thumbs up, worth it, and can mesh so well with so many different foundations and powders that you choose to pair it with. Now on the other hand, we've got another concealer that is using the name Serum that I don't quite think is worth it. I like this concealer, but if it was head-to-head with NYX would win out every time. And it's the L'Oreal True Match Serum Concealer. I'm sorry, Radiant Serum Concealer. I have it in light C1. This one, I'm not sure if I said, but this one is in the shade light for me. This is a nice concealer. It's lightweight, it's thin, it's easily blendable, it spreads a long way across the skin. It shares a lot of the qualities that this one has. This one might have just a little more moisture in it, and I also feel like definitely without a doubt more coverage in the NYX. So by Walmart's prices, a couple dollars more, $13.97, almost $14. And yes, it's being lightweight and natural looking, but this is being lightweight, natural looking, a little more hydrating, and better coverage. So this is my thumbs down. While we're on the topic of coverage products, I'm also going to throw out a quick thumbs down to this L'Oreal Skin Ink. I feel like this stuff was hyped up to no end. I feel like a lot of influencers got on like sponsored content and also like advertising types of posts for this stuff. This is $14.97, and you know, they claim that it's just so hardcore. You better just patch it over small areas of your face at a time because it's just going to be so long wearing and it's going to set in there so fast. It really doesn't. Like, I was not that impressed. Like, I can use it and yes, get good staying power, but I don't feel like it's flawless staying power by any means. And I don't feel like it's that far off from this product, you know? And let's think about thin, lightweight, kind of serum-y feeling, water weight texture foundations. How would this do up against Catrice HD Liquid Coverage? HD Liquid Coverage would win every time. That stuff has the thinness and the lightness, but also the coverage, also the absolute wonderful staying power you can count on. This, not as good of coverage, not as good of staying power, but it's living that hyped up L'Oreal makeup life. $14.97, I say thumbs down. And no, I'm not covering every single product in the world that's at $10, but we're gonna touch on a decent amount in this video. Here's another thumbs down product for me. and it's a powder that actually does a good job, but from a value perspective, it is definitely thumbs down. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Blurfection powder. I have this in the pink light shade. What you're getting in here size-wise is 0.21 ounces, but also they didn't make an effort to do anything special with this method with the sifter. Couldn't they have put a little sifter cap on there for the cost of $12.97? So here's kind of a crazy comparison. I thought, what's the size difference actually between this Blurfection and another powder that I've been loving lately actually, which is my Coty Airspun. I mean, you can tell just visually there's a big difference here. In the Coty Airspun Translucent Extra Coverage, you're getting 2.3 ounces. This is more than 10 times the size of this one. And what's the cost of Coty Airspun, you might ask? Grab it at Walmart for $6.47. Back to this one, $12.97. You're doubling the price. I mean, it's a good product. It is good. It's a lightweight powder, but there are so many other better deals, like Maybelline Fit Me, which is another one I love. There's an Emily Award winner. This one's going to be a better value. The Wet n Wild Photo Focus Loose Powder is going to be a better value. So you have so many options that can do a really, really good job, and it just makes me question what's going on with the L'Oreal. And you know what? I do need to set my under eye, so I'm going to use some Airspun today. I know it's not over $10, but dang, I'm proud of it. What I found with this powder is that it can go on and look better and actually look a little more lived in, a little more natural even as the day goes on, though it's not even starting out looking wildly heavy. There, I've dabbed it around my T-zone. I can work it in a little bit with my brush. Like, it does have a really loud, strong, kind of old-timey floral scent, but for what it's doing on my skin, I can pretty easily get past that. Here's a press powder that I think is completely worth it. $11.98 at Walmart. This is the Maybelline Superstay Hybrid Powder Foundation in the shade 128. Yes, I've hit pan on it. It is a smooth, luxurious, very advanced, high-end feeling texture here. This can be worn really nicely as powder foundation all over your skin. If I was going to apply it that way, my order of product would be primer, concealer, set the concealer with whatever setting powder you like, and then go buffing this all over the rest of your skin. But a lot of times what I do with this product is lightly pick up some, and it's a very soft texture, so you do want to be light with it if you're doing layering. But then I just put this on all over the areas of my face that didn't receive that loose powder, and I feel like this is what's locking me and staying power-wise all over the rest of my skin. Now, some base products need it more than others. For example, I'm going over top of that True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum. That doesn't leave me unbelievably tacky. So it's practically optional that I do this step right now, but I wanted to mention it in this video because I do use it a lot. I do think it's an absolutely beautiful, soft powder foundation-y texture, but you can use it in a variety of ways if you're willing to use it lightly. And I just think it's an exceptional powder product. Now, would I go all up on my under eye area with this? I would say probably not. If I wanted to take a pressed powder and set my under eye, I would go for like a Rimmel Stay Matte. It's much harder to pick up tons of product out of that pan, and you're going to want a lighter amount in that area, and you're not going to want the potential weight that a powder foundation product can give up on the under eye. But this is thumbs up for sure. Love this product. My last couple of things that are in my not worth it category are bronzers. I feel like there's a lot of really low cost, good quality bronzer options in the drugstore. Look to Rimmel Natural Bronzer. Look to E.L.F's Primer Infused Bronzer. Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer in Wet Shady Beaches. Like, amazing. We don't have to be paying these prices. Like for L'Oreal Infallible Bronzer for $13.14. Like, it's just a basic matte bronzer. I know some people love this. This shade is called medium. Can it get the job done? Absolutely. But if you were walking in the drugstore trying to redo your makeup bag or trying to build a collection from scratch and you heard people raving on this, so you felt like you had to shell out $13.14 for just a bronzer, I'm here to say scoot on over to Wet n Wild, scoot on over to Rimmel, because it doesn't have to be this much. Also, Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. For one bronzer, this is what's really not going to make sense, guys. $13.48. Okay, it's a good bronzer. It's a soft formula. It's tropical scent galore. If you like that, I mean, it's a good product. However, as long as Butter Dream Team is on the market and they're selling it for $15.48, and you're getting butter bronzer, getting bronzer two ways. Yes, it's a little smaller pan than the full size, but still you're getting a couple bronzers all these other great products, like actually great products, not just thrown in there so-so stuff. I love this entire palette. It's $15.48 and frankly easier to store than this guy, which as I said is $13.48 and may very well cost you more at a Target or an Ulta. You're telling me a couple bucks more and I can get the palette? That's the thumbs up all the way. I'm sorry, sadly, these are good bronzers, but they're gonna be thumbs down when we're really talking about the value here and how there's so many other things you could choose from. And since I need to be doing some bronzer today, I'm just gonna hop into this palette. I'll go into the lighter of the two. This is my little Morphe angled brush. It's called the M241. Really like this for bronzer. I'm just gonna get that around my hairline real quick. And I love that the palette has the two tones. So this classic butter bronzer might perk up your skin tone in a very classic bronzer, warm up the skin kind of way, but then that matte Minoy one down beneath it is gonna be great for actually contouring. By the way, I've been very down to business in this video, but I did discover a good thing as I was in Dollar Tree yesterday and I was trying to find some cute little baskets for teacher gift baskets because I'm making up a lot of them. And I'd gone to some other places and I wasn't seeing a very like generously sized basket. And so I got one and I'm thinking, what do I do as my filler? You know, you need a little bit of something in there. And I didn't really want to use tissue paper, but you know what they were loaded with? These little 125 garlands, like tinsel garlands. Some of them had candy canes on them, some of them had snowmen, red, white, green ones, and they made the perfect little filler down in the basket. And I thought it looked so cute and fun. Consider that if you need a filler for a basket, look to the Dollar Tree garlands. Going down to the mat, being really gentle because this brush is dense and a little larger than what I sometimes use. So my dab in has to be kind of careful. And as far as what we're left with in this video, I do have a blush, lip, and eye product that I do feel are worth it. I feel like I've covered most of the not worth it's so far. But here's kind of a funny thing, because we talked about this Infallible Fresh Wear line and how, yes, the bronzer is good, but it's expensive. And then they have blushes too. And the blushes are even a little bit higher. They're $13.97. And I really like the blushes. I think the shades in this range of blush are a little more unique. There's that rich berry one. There's a brighter coral, brighter pink. There's this beautiful one called Daring Rosewood. They're not necessarily shades and intensities that you see left and right. I'm not saying it's your only good pigmented powder blush option in the drugstore because again, e.l.f. primer infused. We could look to various things I like from CoverGirl. Rimmel's gonna give you like a couple options. Availability may vary. Wet n Wild Color Icon, love those, but an overall softer color palette. If you're looking for something a little richer, I do like these, particularly this shade. I just feel like this is kind of unique. And if you are a deeper skin tone and you feel like, yeah, I need to lean into some good pigment for it to show, this might be a range that you really get into, but I'm gonna put a soft amount of the Daring Rosewood on, and I just always feel like this looks so good. And we're talking matte, just full colored blushes. They're just of much more use to me than the bronzer. It's a more special range given the colors that they've put in it. But my favorites, my most used ones are probably this one and the Confident Pink. Whatever's left on the brush, I'm kind of letting it very lightly come up here, but more of the product is coming out here. I'm gonna finish a couple steps and we're gonna talk about an eye palette. So I've done my brows and I've put on Milani eyeshadow primer, and we're gonna talk about a line of eyeshadow that I just realized is actually now above $10. I always thought it was 10, and I think it was 10 for a long time, but now it's 11. And I'm talking about the e.l.f. Perfect 10 eyeshadow palettes. Now they've got their name because they are giving you 10 shades inside. It was doubly good when they were also just $10. But these little eye palettes are very, very good. I especially like their all matte one that looks like this. If you're into a rosy brown all matte vibe, like you can get a very perfected, really nice look, really easy blending because there's just a great gradient happening in here. So love that one. I've also very much enjoyed this one. I think it's called Everyday Smoky. There's a great range in here. If you're a cool shadow lover, I think you'd really enjoy that. And then they've got this Keep It Ethereal one, which many of us recognize as a dupe for the Makeup by Mario palette. And this is a beautiful eye palette. Not so much darkness in it, but still it's a well put together palette. You can get plenty of contrast, and they're kind of reaching out and doing some of those textures that look even a little more glossy as far as a shimmer finish goes, which was definitely quality that we saw in the Mario palette. These are good quality eye palettes. I would say yes, they're worth the $11. If you run into this one, you're like, I need a good little drugstore all matte wardrobe, go for it. But I will say you can spend less. If you're willing to shop online and buy Catrice, you know, these are $6 palettes. They're a really good deal. Hard Candy's gonna come under 10 with their Mantras palettes. I love the one called Going Nude, Never Looking Back, if you like a really brownish color scheme. Dremmel's got their Magnifies palettes, not always a large broad selection of those available. It's spotty, but those are good. And of course, there's smaller palettes. There's the bite-sized quads. There's LA Colors quads at Dollar Tree for $1.25. So you have options under the $10 mark for sure for good eyeshadow. But are these worth the $11? I do think they're worth the $11 on these from E.L.F. I'd have to give them a thumbs up, and I'm going to use one of them today. Which one should I use? I haven't used the ethereal one for a while, but I can link below to some other tutorials that I have with other palettes. I'm going to go into this kind of rosy one right here. Hi, Biddy. What's up? Okay, you may. And like I said, I already have the Milani eyeshadow primer on, but just great ease of blending with these little palettes. And they do have an all matte one that I like as well that's got a little bit warmer shifting color scheme. I'm still working with that slightly rosy shade, and now I'm taking it up a little bit higher, maybe a slightly softer amount on the brush, but just letting it come up. And then I might come over here to this matte cream that we have, which is a really nice shade, very soft, and just get a little bit of that working over the edge. Next, I'm going to go into my darkest brown with a flat brush, my Morphe M303. Look how it truly is, what you see is what you get, okay? You're going to see dark brown applied. This brush is going to, of course, be good about working that into the outer part of your crease as well. Okay, so I've got that applied, and then I'm going to take a slightly smaller brush, my Profusion Small Pointed, and I'm going to go into this matte brown. So this one has some shimmer that's in between, but I'm going to that matte, and I'm going to use that to sort of swipe back and forth over the darker one and just blend up and out a little bit. We're softening the darker brown, and we're just adding a little, you know, more hazy brown. See, I just love the way this is falling together. It's coming together with ease. Now there is a shade in here, this one, where it's like, it gives you a little glaze. I would have preferred a little more pigment out of that one, but you know, it is there. I'm gonna go to this brown with some shimmer with my smaller flat brush, Morphe M302. And I'm just gonna let some of that like take up a lot of the remaining lid space. I like a brown shimmer. I was using a brown shimmer couple days ago. What palette was I using? Sydney Grace Unveiled palette. It was kind of brownish, but also very, very cool and almost a little bit of gunmetal in it. And it was very nice. See what we're doing here? Just dabbing it in. I can feel the tip of my brush just touching up above the crease. And now let's take some of this lightest, really shiny shade, and that can come into the inner corner. I remember like trying to pack lightly for some cheer competitions last season, and this would be an easy one to just throw in and be like, yeah, that's gonna look good for any occasion. I can always get a look I like out of it. I got shimmers if I want to be using shimmers. I might pack on, I'm using my finger a little here, just on the innermost part. Beautiful. And if you think you need some more blending, we can come back with that crease brush, nothing on it, and just let that kind of whiz around the outside. And then another thing you could do, maybe we take some of this brown right here, small pointed brush, take some of that on the lower lash line. We're being careful not to get our brush really overloaded. It is a pigmented shade, but you'll have decent staying power if you can kind of stick to bare minimum application on the lower lash line. And yeah, I'm saying worth it. Thumbs up. Okay, friends, I just finished off that look with a little Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect Mascara. And now we're getting into the last thing, which is the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Ink. And I've gotten quite a few shades of this stuff over the years. It's coming in at $10.98, and I would say, yes, it is worth it. I think it's a very special product. It is giving you the liquid lipstick opacity and look, but it's giving you a little bit of shine. And once the shine wears off, you're gonna have that color for the long haul. These are extremely extremely long wearing products. I've talked about stains and how, like, I don't have one sitting out here right now, but like those stains from Milani. I mentioned them in the Emily Awards. They call them like a hydrating lip stain. And so they're going to go on the lips. While they can be colorful, the ultimate remaining thing on your lips once some of the shine wears down is softer than a full-on, full-bodied, full-color liquid lipstick, okay? Still there, still present, still looking good, and I really like it. And I'm just explaining the difference here. This is going to be like a liquid lipstick, but it manages to have that little bit of a shine on top, and you're not going to run into a major transferring issue, okay? I think I'm going to use the shade Extra today. Like, I have several neutrals. I was wondering about this one, but then I thought it's just going to be a little off from my brown shirt. I have a great pink called Koi that's downstairs. I think that's not going to be good with this shirt, actually. What about Punchy? Okay, I think that's going to work. They did do a pretty good job coloring the outside tubes to pretty accurately reflect the product on the inside. But it goes on feeling super thin. And see how it's not like off the charts shiny, but it's about as shiny as like a cream lipstick would be. And then it lasts. It's a really good product and definitely something that can be counted on if you've got a special occasion, if you've got a situation where you really want to be wearing a bright, bold color, you'd like it to have a natural finish, but you don't want to have to worry about touching it or the transfer off. I would say if you'd really prefer to stay under the $10 mark, look to the Rimmel Provoca Lips line. As mentioned in the Emily Awards, that's a two-step product, so you're going to apply that color, let it dry down, put your top coat on. It's going to give that cream lipstick-like shine to things and make it feel a lot more comfortable on. So that is an option as well that's going to be less expensive, but I still see the value in these. These wear a really, really long time, even the more natural shades. And they did a good job of honestly creating a fairly earthy shade selection too. I feel like we don't always see enough of that in this type of product. But anyway, friends, that is my video. I hope this was helpful. It's just one person's opinion. I know we're all going to have some little specific reasons why one product is worth it for us at the over $10 mark and one is not. But this is the type of video I feel like I could do a part 2, a part 3, maybe a part 4 on. There's just a lot of products that fall into this category. And unfortunately, I think we're just going to continue to see more and more as new products get launched. But just know that if you're building a makeup collection, if you're finding yourself in a position where you've got a lot of products to replace, or you're just wanting to dabble and try something new, consider the brands Wet n Wild, Hard Candy, Rimmel, Profusion. While some of the bigger brands can make us feel like we're so limited in what is coming under the $10 mark, there are a lot of brands that are living there all the time. Catrice is another one. They're going to keep their prices $10 and under. Not as accessible. It's an online purchase, but still. But we do have a lot of options out there, as I so frequently cover in lots of videos that I've done. So thanks for your time, everybody, and I will see you soon. I love you. Bye.